Privyet, YouTube. We are Thralls of Metal, here with an album review. I'll be Rin.
I will be Necrotic Nick.
And we're going to review Jinjer, Wallflowers.
This also comes out on the 27th of August on Napalm Records. It's band formed in 2009 in Ukraine. This is their fourth album, and honestly, all right, this is my first real sit down and listening to a Jinjer album. I know that they pretty much took off like virally just because Tatiana is an incredible singer.
Tatiana Shamaluk.
Yep, that's her name. She can do amazing flips from cleans to growls. It's just wild, and watching reaction videos, back when I actually watched reaction videos, I don't watch much now, but watching people's face, like their jaw hit the floor when she did these vocal flips, especially on Pisces, I mean, I can kind of understand why they got popular so quick. And the hype around them is generally huge anytime they release an album. So I'm going to kind of dive into this because literally this is the first time I've sat down and listened to an entire album. I've heard songs, and style-wise, it's kind of an interesting mix of things. You have groove metal, metalcore, I would say progressive metal is in there, kind of the djenty style.
Lots of proggy.
Yeah, very similar to like Tesseract or Periphery, except thankfully without Periphery's vocals. And I would say even like death metal and deathcore. So you really get this interesting blend of different styles kind of just forming as one intense but very engaging sound.
Also jazz.
Yeah.
Lots of jazz going on.
Swingy, ambient stuff. It's really kind of all over the place. I think this album has ADD.
Yeah, a little bit. The first song, Call Me a Symbol, starts off with this super bendy, down-tuned riff, heavy as balls, and then blast beats.
It's pretty insane. Like, I was expecting, just judging by the singles that I heard, you know, something like, okay, we're going to lead it up, we're going to build it up. This song just explodes right away. Big, chunky grooves. The guitar tone is just chunkified as hell, too. Blast beats, guttural vocals.
Lots of blasts, she sounds like a demon.
Yeah, I mean, she really does. And, you know, she has like kind of like a solid mid-range, but she even drops it lower than that. And then this song kind of like just like pockets a little bit of the clean vocals. This is a very aggressive opener, and honestly, it was one of my favorite tracks on here. It's just a balls-out heavy song.
And if they were, I don't know, catering to the masses, if you will, I think they wouldn't have opened with this one. It would have been something more sing-songy. The chorus is all screamed. There's no pretty in the first bulk of the song.
No.
A little bit of clean towards the end, but they go out kicking dingy.
The production on here is very tight, very compressed, kind of what you'd expect in terms of like bands that kind of have that djenty sound. The drums, very compressed. I like the kind of like tight snap to the snare.
It's almost a piccolo, but it's real poppy. It works better in some places than others.
Yes.
When he's with the more mellow parts, when he's ghost noting, it's fantastic. But when it's a stomper, it's like maybe throw a little extra something on that.
And same thing with the guitars too.
Yeah.
The guitars are really compressed. They have that very djenty sound. Like, pretty sure it's a 7-string, might be an 8-string, but bottom heavy, but it doesn't resonate. It's just kind of tightened up. But at the same time, the big thing are the vocals. The vocals are very out front, very prominent, and very well done. And
the bass. The bass tone cuts right through. If the guitars are thin at any point, it's because the bass is taking up that whole frequency. But it's not muddy at all.
No, it's a very polished but organic sounding mix. It doesn't sound like it's overproduced.
No.
Now, my jumping off point for this album were the singles Vortex, Wallflowers, and Mediator. And honestly, I think these are some of the best tracks on here. These songs have really interesting dynamics, good slow builds, especially on Vortex. Vortex leads in very softly because the opening 2 tracks just kind of jump out right into your face and scream your guts out. This takes its time to build the tension. It kind of has this cool ebb and flow.
Very smooth.
Kind of jazzy, maybe a little swingy. Very, very well written songs, and Tatiana is absolutely killing this in both harsh and clean vocals. Wallflowers, especially, that is probably some of my favorite clean vocals on the entire album.
She sings her dick off.
Oh my God, she's so sultry, and those flips from harsh to clean to harsh, absolutely amazing. It really showcases the more progressive side of this band. Like, you get notes of bands like, again, Tesseract, Gojira even, in terms of like building a mood, a little bit more atmosphere. Excellent songwriting.
The vocal pattern in the verses of the title track remind me of Tori Amos.
Yeah.
Or you know, the early to mid 90s alt girl rock. It's like a Tori Amos vocal pattern with like a Jewel kind of voice.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
I mean, it surprisingly does make sense.
Weird.
And then someone screams.
Yes.
And it's her.
And it's her, even though it sounds like a fella.
Yeah. I mean, when she gets down low, like, the gutturals are really, really nasty on here. And in terms of like that sort of 90s throwback, there's definitely some like throwbacks to like 90s hardcore. Disclosure. Honestly, that opening riff instantly.
Disclosure.
Yeah, it's Disclosure with an exclamation point. She means it. It opens up almost like a Helmet riff. Like, it's just a big, simple, just chuggy riff, and you're just fist pumping. And honestly, the vocal flips there, going from these more hardcore deliveries, because there's even like some cool D-beat sections where you get the nice little pit spin. It kind of reminds me of a band that I don't think got brought up very much even in the 90s, Human Waste Project. Their vocalist Amy Echo had a very wild style, and she was able to flip between this creepy but tuneful singing to shrieks of bloody fucking murder. And I really liked that energy on there. Like, it kind of was a cool like nostalgia trip, but it was also fresh and interesting. And the thing that I liked about the songs that I brought up here is they're very direct. They have a clear, start, beginning, end, very well constructed. That was kind of an issue I had with some of the other tracks where they're kind of all over the place.
Some songs just, and we're starting. Vocals start, and there's no intro, no lead in or nothing. And then some songs are just like, oh, they stop.
Yep.
Oh, all right.
And sometimes they would just end on a really cool part. Copycat has a amazing bendy breakdown at the end. I absolutely loved it. I was like, ooh, this is a cool new part. And then the song was over. And that was kind of an issue here. The songs seem like they should be structured to have like a cool verse chorus sort of setup, but they kind of tend to wander. And they kind of wander into generally a lot of cool riffs and such, but when it comes down to putting them together, sometimes they're missing some parts, or at least some of the transitions are odd. When you have a singer like Tatiana, you want to labor those big hooks, and regardless if they're just the big heavy hooks or the big tuneful hooks, you want to like give some good anchor points. This anchor is kind of dragging all over the place, and occasionally it sticks. But when it does, it's generally really good.
Sometimes it's her vocals that seem to be holding the song together. The drums, the guitars, they're all doing something really schizophrenic, but her rhythm is what's okay. I can feel it now.
Yeah.
Just.
And again, no shortage of talent in this band.
No,
they definitely know how to play.
Yeah.
It's just sometimes the whole less is more philosophy would be nice. Like, there's a couple of moments here where Tatiana is crooning, doing a really beautiful passage, but the music behind her doesn't necessarily support her. It's like a bunch of like distant arpeggios.
Yeah. A lot of arpeggios.
A lot of them. Man, we get they're cool.
Right.
They're effective. But when you're trying to put like a big like chorus hook or just like a big verse hook in terms of clean vocals, it doesn't support it very well. And that's kind of an issue on here on a lot of the songs. Like, there are moments where she is just doing a great vocal passage and the music behind it doesn't necessarily set it up very well. And then it will shift into something completely different, and you get a lot of parts that don't repeat. So if you find a hook, sometimes you're just going to have to make peace with the fact that that's going to be the only moment you find. It's not going to come back.
What was that?
It's already gone. It's a ghost now. It's in the past.
Yep.
Let it go. Or rewind.
Yeah. We can do that. We have the technology.
Yes.
And the song As I Boil Ice, which I heard her say the title in an interview, and I thought she said As I Boil Eyes.
That's pretty metal.
Cannibal Corpse might be a title for you. As I boil eyes. Good work. Get at me, Corpse. Grinder guy. Right out of the gate, it's down to business, and then there's a lot of tempo changes, but the middle part has got this almost System of a Down kind of jazz thing going on. It's
really cool.
Yeah, it's really cool. Hard to describe.
She has like a really interesting cadence on there. Like she accents certain notes in the song that I think are really cool, and it
kind of stops.
Yeah, and then kind of I don't know, like it has this really different feel.
Yeah,
and that's something that I like about this band in terms of what I heard on this album. They are very creative. They like to throw in a lot of different stuff. It's just it kind of gets lost in the clutter, because I guess you could describe some of these songs as just cluttered with probably really good ideas. It's just, again, the assembly. That was a really cool moment that I thought stood out, and I thought this was one of those songs in here that I think has what they should be doing in terms of, like really writing out these cool dynamic shifts, because it's one vastly different style compared to another. And I know they've done it before in other albums. I've heard individual tracks. Some of this album just gets kind of lost in trying to be more technical, I guess.
Yeah.
And again, with a front woman of Tatiana's prowess and their ability to write really good melodies with her, that is definitely something they should labor more, because when they get that right, it's really good.
The only thing I can think is they don't want to make it more straightforward, because then people might perceive them as trying to aim for the radio. But, a good song's a good song. A good hook is a good hook. But maybe they just like a doodlin' and a doodlin'.
I think there's plenty of room for it. It's mostly when it comes down to like the chorus hooks.
Yeah.
Like some of those chorus hooks kind of miss. Colossus, I thought was, definitely a heavy song, but it was kind of all over the place. It kind of needed a little bit of direction. There are songs in here where I think if they just kind of simplified at least the melody behind Tatiana, at least in the chorus part, because again, if you're going to have a chorus, the whole idea is to make that like the big soaring moment on the song.
Yeah.
That would help lift this band up a little bit, because there's tons of creativity here. And again, tons of talent. Like every member is super talented.
There is no winking.
Yeah, no. They're all really good. It's just kind of getting Voltron to assemble properly, because right now you kind of got like the foot in the head spot, and one of the arms is just kind of floating out in space looking at its phone. It's just a matter of getting it together. That's pretty much it for me.
So I've been familiar with these guys since their second record, and by seeing some of the reaction videos, I'm like, oh yeah, I want to know more. With this album, you can see the progression from their first one to now, and they really only gonna go up, I would imagine, and they deserve it. I feel like a 4 is too low, but a 4.5 is too high. 4. I'll say 4. It's good stuff. The stuff that's not as good as the really good stuff, still good, but there's like 4 or 5 songs that are some of the best songs they've ever written. And I dig it. Maybe others will too, or just not heavy enough. I don't know.
I think it's definitely heavy enough. There's unarguably some stupid heavy moments on here. I'm going to give it a 3. This is my first experience with the band in terms of sitting down and listening to an entire album. I like individual songs that I've heard, but honestly, when it came down to the singles on here, I would agree with Rin. That is some of the most, well put together songs they've done yet.
Yep.
I love those dynamics on there. The shift from really cool, like softer moments to just brutally intense moments. They do a good job there.
It's a journey.
It's the stuff that's in between the singles. It's heavy, but in terms of like the songwriting, it's just kind of all over the place. It just needs a little bit of focus, because you get a lot of cool moments cluttered together. They're just kind of blend in, and the whole idea, I think, is to make all these songs memorable and not just some of them. That's kind of the effect I got, was mainly the songs that had the most dynamic shifts and really showcased what they could do were the ones that stuck with me. The other songs were kind of just filler, unfortunately. But this is a fun album, and again, this is my first experience with them. I wouldn't mind going back and listening to some of their earlier stuff just to see, you know, that progression over time. But as a first experience, this isn't a bad album. Not all of it was my thing, but I still recommend going out and checking it out and forming your own opinions. So if you enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up. If you are new to the channel, subscribe, because we do stuff like this all the time. We're also on Patreon. If you would like to help us out there will be a link below. Also, we have t-shirts available. We are going to get more eventually, but we still have some. And if you would like one, hit us up on thrallsofmetal@gmail.com. Send us a message, put shirts in the message, and we will get back to you and hopefully sell you a shirt. We also have a giveaway going on once we hit 7,500 subscribers, which is a unbelievably large number for what we do, but thank you guys so much for continuously following it. We're going to give away a stack of 8 CDs with the new Cannibal Corpse in there, and all you have to do is comment on the giveaway video, which will be linked down below and also is playing on our channel right now. As soon as you jump on there, it should be playing automatically if I did it right. I think I did. Again, thank you guys so much for following along with us. It's been a lot of fun. It's going to continue to be fun, hopefully, unless we really screw up something. Possible.
Never know.
But either way, thank you guys for watching, and we will catch you later.